Not a lot to do after watching what we just saw. Then drink a beer, is there? Tim here once again, View from the South Stands, coming to you late Wednesday evening after watching what was, I think, emotionally one of the worst defeats in the history of this team, and actually statistically the worst defeat in the history of a multitude of defeats of Toronto FC. That tonight, the 6-0 against the Montreal Impact, was the worst defeat in the history of this club statistically, and it brings a certain irony to TFC's hashtag on Twitter, Make It 5. When the Impact scored their 5th goal, they made it 5, and it was 5 goals against, and hopefully the MLSE PR people are a little chastened from being a little too cocky and maybe taking those 4 flags down from BMO Field that mysteriously appeared over the last couple of weeks, harping on the Canadian Championship that the team has won for the last 4 seasons. Might be time to take those down as well. Ryan Nelson now faces arguably his first real significant piece of adversity as well, doesn't he? He got the shape wrong tonight. He got the tactics wrong. Hoofing it to 5'0" Robert Earnshaw, that old Bolton, Blackburn style Premier League hoofball. Well, it didn't work last weekend against the New York Red Bulls, and it bloody well didn't work against the Montreal Impact tonight. And more than anything else, not starting the captain, their best defensive player, and perhaps their most calming influence at the back was the biggest mistake of all that Ryan Nelson made. He did not shower himself with plaudits at all, and at the half, the issue was still far from resolved. TFC still just needed an away goal to give themselves a chance of advancing. And whatever team talk Ryan Nelson had at the half, it had about a 3 to 4 minute effect. Early in the second half, the Reds look a little more engaged, a little more positive. They had some control possession, a couple of half-hearted chances, but nothing came from it. And obviously, Becker and Wiedemann came off, and Luis Silva and Jeremy Hall came on, and that didn't really amount to anything either. So he got the subs wrong. He kept TFC's most important, not necessarily the best, but the most important player in that sort of environment, Darren O'D, on the bench tonight. As somebody I saw on Twitter quoted, maybe they were saving him for Colorado. You know, that really important rivalry we have against the Colorado Rapids. But full reward to the Montreal Impact. Pains me to say it, but they were, of course, obviously the better team. They've been the better team in MLS this season, and of course they were the better team on the night by a country mile all over the pitch. Schellenbaum and Joey Saputo were roasted over the coals by a lot of Impact fans over the weak lineup that they put out against TFC in the first leg that led, of course, to the Reds winning 2-0. They did something about it. Nelson really didn't. He made a couple of half-hearted improvements over the last team that he put out in this tournament, but it didn't really work. Obviously, Marco Di Vaio didn't start, but he was on the bench. Came in about 25 minutes in for an injury to the Impact. All he does is 2 goals and 2 assists, which was really, really disheartening. Now, in the first game in this tournament, I think both the Impact and TFC tried to have their cake and eat it too. They both said, okay, let's roll the bones. Let's put out basically a reserve side with a couple of exceptions, and let's see if we can get a result. They both gambled. TFC gambled, the Impact gambled, TFC won, but didn't win obviously by a big enough margin, because lo and behold, the second game comes. TFC essentially still plays, for the most part, their reserve side. The Impact significantly upgraded across the park, and we end up with a 6-0 defeat. Now, I don't like calling out players, but I think some of them need to be called out tonight, and I think the following players were shite, and it pains me to say so. But Ashton Morgan in no particular, I'm giving these in no particular order, Ashton Morgan looks to have taken a step back in his development this season. He's tentative. He's on the wrong side of the play defensively more often than not. What he brought offensively just seems to be drying up. Bostock, I don't think he's going to be with Toronto FC very long. He's taking up an international spot and he's not bringing much to the dance. Now I understand, I think, why Spurs wanted to let him go. Richter looked overmatched tonight, and Daniil Henry was clumsy and tentative, I think, and really lacking in both confidence and especially calmness, which goes back, of course, to Darren O'D. Now, at the start of this season, if you remember, if you faithfully watch these videos, one of the things that I stated, and I also wrote about it as well, is what my expectations were for 2013. And let me just refresh your memory. At the start of the season, I stated that the goal for me was to at least not be out of the playoff picture by Labor Day. The rate that the Reds have been dropping points, especially at home, all of these late draws and late defeats, that's going to be very difficult. And I also wanted them, win or lose, to at least give the Voyageurs Cup a go. And I don't think, with weakened lineups, with choices at hand, I don't think that TFC did themselves any services by how they actually competed or didn't compete for a trophy that means a lot to a lot of fans. It's been the only honor that this team has had. It's been the only bright spot over the last few years, and now we're going to have to be watching either Montreal or Vancouver carry Canada's flag into CONCACAF. Now, the Reds have never lost so badly, which pains me, and should pain every Toronto FC fan. Even Santos Laguna in the Champions League last year, where the Reds gave up 6 goals, they scored 1. The New York collapse in 2009, the rainy night in the swamp to end the season and end the Reds' to date best chance of making the MLS playoffs, was only 5-0. And here we are, of course, losing to our hated rivals 6-0. And I'm still kind of in shock. I think I need more beer. The Czechs make a good beer. Now, the thing is these games don't happen, of course, in isolation. One of the things I think that Toronto FC, maybe not their parent company, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and their owners, Bell and Rogers, respectively, they may not like the overall big picture, but I think a lot of TFC fans, the hardcore fans, are going to be thankful that the Jays shit the bed and the Toronto Maple Leafs, in their first return to the playoffs, the NHL playoffs in 7 years, shit the bed in Boston as well. If TFC is going to do the same, tonight was the night to do it, because you're not going to get a lot of press tomorrow. That's for sure. Now, the rate it's going, soon only the hardcore of the hardcore TFC supporters are going to be left. And even that group is getting real angry. I'm more disappointed and hurt by the effort than I am angry. But I actually took a little look through Twitter. I was tweeting during the game, and I was keeping an eye on the TFC Live hashtag, which is a hashtag that the team encourages supporters to actually use when they're watching the games. And I pulled out 5 tweets from and this is the moderated TFC Twitter conversation at the end of the game tonight, and in no particular order, I want to end this post, this video post, by actually reading them to you, and I'll quote you. The first one: just embarrassing, gutless. Of course, describing the Reds. I think it's fair to say that most people are sick of hashtag Toronto FC now and their empty promises. See ya. TFC has 15 new players this season and are just as shite as they were under Paul Mariner. If an embarrassing performance and loss like that doesn't light a fire under every player in the dressing room, why even bother? And lastly, and I think this is what I'm going to title this post, disappointed, embarrassed, and dejected. So Saturday, another road game, another tough MLS game is ahead. And Toronto FC has to show its hardcore fans, because they're probably going to be the only people watching. The game has been relegated to the Score thanks to the hockey playoffs and baseball and such. So it's not going to be on one of the prime networks on Saturday night. We've got hockey all over the dial. So only the hardcore of the hardcore are going to be watching an away game from Colorado at 9 o'clock on a Saturday. But that hardcore has been with you guys since day one, and it's important that the team actually, step up and try to actually put tonight's result behind them. So, again, let me end by reading you that tweet. Disappointed, embarrassed, and dejected. That's how I'm feeling tonight. How are you feeling? How are you feeling, TFC Universe? Let us know. Feel free to post in the space below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll have another video blog up on the weekend after the Colorado game. Win, lose, or draw. Cheers.